Good morning and welcome to The Morning After Rolling with the Beard. This is a series where we discuss the games that we played on game night and some of the shenanigans that occurred during which said games were played. The first game we played was Rajas of the Ganges. Rajas is a worker placement tile laying game with just a scotch of engine building. During their turn, players will be placing their workers, often having to spend dice as a resource to place their workers on places to gain more dice most of the time. It is a vicious cycle. The beginning of the game started a little slow. This was the first time we played a 3-player game. This was the first time the 3 of us have ever played this game. 2 of the players, though, myself and Mike, brushed up on the rules, watched some videos, read the rules prior to us gathering to hopefully make it a smooth gameplay, or as smooth as possible, and it went fairly smooth. Oddly enough, Corey was the victor, and he was the one who did not brush up on the rules. Allegedly. The game is almost a race. Players will be gaining money and fame points, both of which are on 2 separate tracks, one going clockwise, the other going counterclockwise, and it's a race to get those 2 tokens to meet. So technically you could just get all the money, or you could get all the fame or prestige, whatever they call it in the game, or a combination of somewhere in between. It was a very close race. Corey ended up winning the game 1 turn prior to myself or Mike claiming the victory. Yes, the one who claims they knew nothing about the game won. But yeah, it was a fantastic, tight little game. We really enjoyed it. At first, there are a lot of options, a lot of stuff to do. But quickly after playing it, and once you get familiar with the iconography, it's smooth sailing from there. Turns were going quick, and it was quite the enjoyable game. Can't wait to get to the table again. The next game we played was Ethnos. Ethnos is an area control game that is card driven. You'll be collecting matching colors or matching fantasy race sets of cards to place area control markers on the map. Not quite dudes on the map, but strong area control. This is quite possibly the ugliest thing Simon has ever created. And I don't think it's really John Howell, if that's how you pronounce his name's fault. His art is fine. It just seems like the graphic design, that somewhere along the line they just decided to mute all the colors and just muck it up a bit. But with that being said, it is a fantastic game. You'll be collecting these cards and playing them to lay your control markers on the board. There are 3 scoring phases during the game, and during each one of those scoring phases, players will be awarded points for having the most of their tokens in a region on the map. Part of the crux of the game, during your turn you can only draw a card or play cards to be able to place your control markers on the board, and the cards that you do not use to lay a control marker on the board go into a face-up draw pile for all the other players to snatch from you. And every time you play cards to control an area, you have to decide which one of the cards that you're playing is your leader for that action. And the different races and the different leaders have different abilities, such as keep the cards in your hand that you played, or draw X amount of cards equal to the number of cards that you have played that turn, which is kind of the crux of the game and what makes it so darn special. And it's just one heck of a game. Mike ran away with the victory on this one. It wasn't even close. He left the rest of us in the dust. Really not much to say about that. It is fantastic though. And not only is it fantastic, it plays up to 6. I have yet to play it with 6, but I've played it with 5 a handful of times. I've played it from 2 to 5 players. And it scales well. Scales well. That sounded weird. Get more coffee. And the last game that we played was Royals. Royals is an area control game driven by card management. I know, sounds familiar, doesn't it? We shortly realized our blunder while setting up Royals, but we've just had so much fun playing this game that we decided, yeah, we can go ahead and play another area control game tonight. This game can be a little mean. You gain these matching color cards and you play them to gain control or influence over these nobles on the map. And once you gain those nobles though, you can be kicked out of there if another player gets the same matching color cards, but there's also this deck of intrigue cards. We call them the stabby cards because they have a picture of a little knife on there that doesn't actually look all that intimidating, but we like to call them stabby cards because you're stabbing your friends in the back and taking control over the nobles, the countess, the dukes, the whatever. You also play 3 rounds in this game. You play through the deck of cards 3 times, gaining, controlling, stabbing each other in the back. It's actually a lot of fun. This game plays up to 5 players. We've played it with both 4 and 5 player accounts, both of which act well. I don't really see it working too well with 2 players. If anyone has played it with 2 players, leave a comment below and let us know your experience with it as a 2-player game. After approximately 60 minutes of stabbing each other in the back, Corey was once again the victor on this game with a score of 100 points. He just barely squeaked away the victory from Moses, who had 99 points. Gary and myself were somewhere in the 60s, and we were mostly cheering along for Moses because Moses never wins any game. Ever. Okay, so he won Dune once. Maybe Lorenzo Il Magnifico. I think those are the 2 games he's ever won. I believe during the game, Gary and myself were just too stabby with each other in the back while Moses and Corey ran away with this one, but we still had one heck of a time and enjoyed ourselves. Stabby. So that concludes the morning after Rolling with the Beard. If you liked this episode, or if you didn't like this episode, leave a comment below. Let us know if you've played any of these games, and if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. And thanks again for watching.